Hey, what's up, stock compounders? Brad here. So today we're going to be digging through Cathie Wood's ARK ETFs, hunting for potential great long-term compounders. Okay, now many of you follow Monish Pabrai. We all know Pabrai recently kind of transitioned from looking for 50-cent dollar bills to looking for these great long-term compounders, the spawners, right? The companies where you buy in and you forget about it for a couple decades. And you wake up 20, 30 years from now, and you've got these great, 100 times opportunities in your portfolio. Massive impact on wealth when we're able to find opportunities like that. Now, Cathie Wood is the queen of high growth, right? We all know about Cathie Wood. We know what ARK has done over the last handful of years. But I do not recommend investing in ARK's ETFs. When you've had a run like Cathie Wood has had over the last handful of years, it is very unlikely that performance will continue over the next 5 years as it has been over the previous 5 years. There are a number of reasons for that. I'm not going to get into those in this video, but Sven Carlin, there's a bunch of great value investing YouTubers who have put out videos on ARK and why it's probably a good time to be cautious with the ETFs. But that's not what this video is about. This video is for individual stock pickers, right? Not passive investors in ETFs. So what we're going to do is we're going to look through a couple of these ETFs to see, how might we cherry pick ideas from Cathie Wood, using Cathie Wood as our investment analyst to go deeper into maybe a handful of companies. So I'm going to look in two of these ETFs, the ARK Innovation ETF, which is ARKK, and ARKW, Next Generation Internet ETF. So let's open the first one. Now, the great thing is, we can scroll down, we can see the net assets, we can see, the median market cap out of the 55 some positions in here, 11 billion. Now, we're going to go to this fund holdings PDF, okay? And so as of, what is this, yesterday, okay, today's March 9th, as of March 8th, this has been updated. I think this gets updated every day, which is fantastic. So we can see by weight in the ETF what ARKK holds in the portfolio. So we can see 56 holdings. One of them is this Morgan Stanley government. I don't know what this is, institutional. So that one doesn't have a ticker. So really there's 55 businesses in this portfolio. So what I did is I took these 55 businesses, I made a spreadsheet, right? I basically copied the tickers here, and then I included the market cap, right? The market capitalization for each company, which tells us the size of the company, at least the equity pie. How big is the equity pie for each of these companies? I also went in and I looked at, like I said, this next generation internet ETF. So I copied these companies as well. Now there's a lot of overlap. Tesla is in both, Square, Teladoc. Probably half of these companies, these 53 companies, are in the first one, are in the ARK Innovation ETF. So, I made a spreadsheet and I kind of sorted by market cap, okay? And then I combined these two different, ETFs, the companies that were less than a 5 billion market cap. And I created this sub 5 billion market cap list with 19 companies, okay? So we're starting with like 80 companies between these two ETFs. Like I said, there's some overlap, and we're working it down to 19. Okay, so that was the first step. I want less than 5 billion. And Monish Pabrai, he talks about how very few companies make it to $50 billion market cap. So, the best way to find a 10-bagger or a 100-bagger, companies that are going to return 10 times, 100 times our money, is to find them early. Okay, we need to find them small. So that's really what's driving this first filter here. I want to know what companies is Cathie Wood bullish on that are still small. Okay, so we've got these 19 companies, and I've sorted them by market capitalization. So that was the first step, sort by market cap. I've included the industry here, okay? Just so you can get a sense, is this something I'm interested in? Do I have any knowledge in this industry? Because as individual stock pickers, it really helps to kind of understand the business. Most value investors would say that's essential, right? It has to be within your circle of competence. So, these under 5 billion market cap, great starting point. Now, another filter I applied here that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, a number of value investors do, but in the greater investing community, there's not a lot of people who seem to focus on this, and that's insider ownership, okay? This is something I picked up from Chris Meyer, author of 100 Baggers, Stocks That Return 100 to 1 and How to Find Them. How convenient. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And one of the biggest pieces of information that Chris Meyer focuses on to find these 100 baggers is, how much skin in the game does management have? Because, I included a quote here at the bottom from Charlie Munger. Show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome, okay? Financial incentives are so important when it comes to decision making. So if you've got a management team where they're just making a cush salary each year, they're not going to make the same decisions, the same capital allocation decisions, the same management decisions as a CEO, as a management team that has a lot of equity, right? They own a lot of stock. A big portion of their annual salary, their annual financial compensation is stock, okay? So that's really what we want. And you can see here, out of the 19 companies that were under $5 billion, there's only 6 that have more than 10% insider ownership. So those are the ones I've highlighted here. That's really the only 2 metrics I'm looking at in order to get this list. Is it under $5 billion market cap? And does it have more than a 10% insider ownership? So that's the 6 companies, like I said. So that's really quickly how I would filter down, the holdings of Cathie Wood. Are they small enough? And does management have enough skin in the game? And that's going to get us a long ways towards some promising ideas here. So let's take a quick peek at these in ticker terminal. SYRS, what is that? Syros Pharmaceuticals, okay? So we're going to take a peek at, I'm going to blow this out. We're going to take a peek at what this company does. Biopharmaceutical company focusing on the development of treatments for cancer and monogenic diseases. Building a pipeline of gene control medicines, okay? So, all of this is over my head, but looks like they're using gene treatments to fight cancer, okay? Gene control and cancer biotech. Very small company, guys. 520 million market cap. So that's pretty interesting from a size perspective. That's kind of right in that sweet spot of, if it's 500 million now, and it does end up at that 50 billion size, I don't know how big the market for gene control and cancer biotech is or will be within the next decade. But 500 million market cap, very small, considered a micro cap. So could be compelling if that's in your wheelhouse. Like I said, 14.2% insider ownership. Now, it can be difficult to find insider ownership data. Kind of the best way is to type SYRS into sec.gov into company search and pull up let's just do this real quick rather than trying to explain it. Will be easier. sec.gov, company filings right here. SYRS, Syros Pharmaceuticals. It's going to be the first one that pops down if you put the ticker in. We're going to click on proxy and information statements. We want this DEF 14A, okay, from April 28th, 2020. This is the most recent proxy to the annual report. And in here, if we scroll down, we should be able to find a section that says stock ownership and reporting, security ownership of certain beneficial owners and management. Okay, that's what we want. We're going to click on that. It's going to take us right to that section of the proxy. And you can see right here, 5% stockholders. So these are stockholders that own more than 5% of the company, outside stockholders, not insider owners. You see ARK Investment Management. They own 11.1% of the shares outstanding. So pretty big stake for ARK there. I mean, not for ARK, but in terms of from a company perspective, ARK is a big investor in this company. You see named executive officers and directors. If you scroll down here, all current executive officers and directors as a group, we see 14.2%. Okay, so everyone on the board, all of the management team put together, they own 14.2% of the outstanding shares. So that's really our insider ownership number that we're using. So yeah, that's that company. If that's something that interests you, if that's an area of kind of innovation that gets you going, dig deeper into it. Look at the latest annual report, read that. And I'd probably even search on YouTube SYRS stock analysis, right? And see, if any YouTubers have analyzed the stock. Also go into Twitter, search $SYRS, see, who's tweeting about this company. A few ways to get some information on it. There's no value line. There's no value investors club write up for this. I looked at these, all the ones that were highlighted in blue here. None of them are in value investors club. Okay, they're young growth companies. They're not, value. Most value investors don't know how to value these things. Would be my take on that. So that's the first one. Second one, Mtls. This is a company out of Belgium. Okay, Mtls. Let's get a quick take on it. I'm going to blow this out one more time here. So you see there's been quite a bit of volatility. Look at this. I mean, it was up at $80, down to 30. Now it's at 38. So pretty wild ride here. Provides additive manufacturing and medical software, 3D printing services. Okay, in a lot of the world, Europe, the Americas, Africa, Asia, Pacific. So you guys can dig deeper into this one if you're interested. 3D printing is obviously a pretty hot sector. ARK is big into 3D printing. They've got like a whole ETF. It's not actively managed, but it's like an index for 3D printing specifically. So, they also know a thing or two about 3D printing. Not to say that this is going to work out. Do your own research. But yeah, so that's that one. 3D printer out of Belgium there, $2.1 billion market cap. And I roughly, I put some figures here. A lot of these companies aren't making money. So I couldn't put like an acquirer's multiple because that is enterprise value over earnings. And if they don't have any earnings, it doesn't make sense to use an acquirer's multiple. But, they have revenues. They all have revenues. And you can see here, this is kind of the enterprise value, what it would cost to buy the whole business, divided by the annual revenue. So, Syros is trading at 22 times the last 12 months of revenue. This 3D printer out of Belgium, 8 times revenue. It has been profitable in previous years. The last 12 months, it lost money. You got SI. So SI was kind of interesting. Let's look that up real quick. Silvergate Capital. It's a bank, is the industry that it's classified under. But it's a very unique kind of bank. Okay. Actually, there was an article I was looking at that I want to pop up here. SI stock analysis. So there was an article from it wasn't Seeking Alpha. Here it is. It was from Fool, but that's not the one. Stock investments analysis. Let's try that. Market beats, tip ranks. There was a little write-up on Silvergate. Anyway, I'm not going to be able to find it. But so Silvergate seems to have really gotten into digital currencies. Okay, like cryptocurrencies. It's found a way to help institutional investors take part in this cryptocurrency kind of boom that we've been experiencing. So I think that's the majority of the thesis for why the company has just gone exponential. I mean, you look at this, $13.75 in September. It peaked out, what is it, 176? And now it's at 125. It's basically 10x'd over the last 6 months, okay? And what's really interesting about that is if you look at the financials, okay, the revenues, from 2018, 2019, last 12 months, they haven't changed very much. You look at these revenues, 79 million, 87 million, 82 million. So this is pure hype based on this kind of new area that Silvergate has gone into recently. So, that's what that is. But, for a business to be able to build out the infrastructure, to be able to help institutional investors get into this digital currency space, clearly they're being rewarded handsomely for that. I think they were kind of the first mover in that. And so it's just gone, like I said, exponential in terms of the stock price. But for me, it's hard to imagine this sustaining. But, if you're really into the digital currency space, might be one to look at. At the very least, maybe you can decide what you think it's worth. And who knows, based on how volatile it's been, you might get a chance to buy in at that kind of compelling entry price. The next one here is Lending Tree, okay? And I'm not sure what this UW is. I don't know if that has to do with units or warrants or what's going on with the UW. But Lending Tree is an online loan marketplace. Pretty solid insider ownership, almost 18%. Now this was the only one that seemed somewhat reasonable in terms of the revenue multiple, 4 times revenue. And it seems like LendingTree has hit a bit of a slump recently. I'm not quite sure what that's about, but I think it was on a tear for a while. And if we look at the 3-year, no, I guess not. Okay. So that's LendingTree. Most of you are probably familiar with LendingTree. And I was actually surprised to see that LendingTree is so small. It's only a $3 billion company, which is kind of right at the beginning of the mid-cap kind of size for a company. So if you're into, I think they do peer-to-peer lending. This is, what is LC? Lending Club? Lending Club, yeah. So we've got LendingTree, we've got Lending Club, a few kind of peer-to-peer lending marketplaces in here. The next one, PD. What is PD? PagerDuty, okay? PagerDuty, that's kind of an interesting name for a company. What is PagerDuty all about? Let's check it out. Operates a platform for real-time operations in the US and internationally. Its platform harnesses digital signals from virtually any software-enabled system or device, combines it with human response data, and orchestrates teams to take the right actions in real time. Incident response. So, I'm not totally sure based on this what this is, if it's like a security software kind of thing, or like a 911 kind of response service. I'm not exactly sure who their target market is, but that's one that ARK seems to be bullish on. So if you're into that space, check that one out. And then last one, BLI, Digital Cell Biology Company. This one is hyper local to me. They're in Emeryville. I'm in Oakland, which is right next door from Emeryville in the San Francisco Bay Area. 3.5 billion market cap. Very high insider ownership, 28%. But this one was far and away kind of the most expensive from a revenue multiple perspective. So anyway, guys, I wanted to share, I thought it'd be interesting to look at what Cathie Wood has in these ARK ETFs in terms of kind of smaller cap, micro cap opportunities, because she is the queen of growth, right? And as Mohnish Pabrai is kind of turning his aircraft carrier, his investment vehicle, away from these cheap companies to the long-term compounders, I find myself kind of orienting that way as well. And I thought, well, who am I going to look to for these 100-baggers, these great growth companies? If you guys look in ticker, Track Investing Gurus, you can see here, growth at a reasonable price, right? You got Berkshire Hathaway. Value, you've got all these value players, Pabrai. They're going to have to move him to a different category soon. Gotham, you got Greenblatt in there, Baupost, Klarman. So, the value crowd, Michael Burry. Aggressive growth, okay? ARK. Aggressive growth. So, who better to look to than the aggressive growth queen, Cathie Wood, for some investment ideas. So, that was really the point of the video. Let me know, guys, which of these you think might become a 100-bagger or has the best chance of becoming a 100-bagger, whether it's based on the management team. That's a hugely important consideration when it comes to picking these great long-term compounders, whether it's the space and you think there's just going to be that much room for growth in gene control, these companies that are building these gene kind of editing, altering platforms, 3D printing, these digital currency banks, online loan marketplaces. There's just a wide range of different companies from different industries in this list. Or if you think one of these that I didn't highlight has more likelihood of becoming a 100 bagger, and maybe I'm putting too much emphasis here on insider ownership, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you guys dig into any of these in particular, let me know what you find. I'd be very curious if any of you decide to follow up on any of these that I've highlighted here. But with that, I will leave you guys to find the next great 100 bagger for your portfolio. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.